guys have asked us to take a look at more affordable gaming monitors, and it would just so happen that out of nowhere, something from Pixio arrived on our desktop. And I'm just as surprised as you are. And judging by the model number and the release date for this panel on their website, this one should be coming out by the end of the week if you're watching this when this comes out. Otherwise, you have no idea what I'm talking about. So I figured I'd jump in nice and early and let you know what the deal is with the new PX248 Prime Advanced gaming monitor that costs under $200 US. So let's jump in. I'm gonna live with you guys. This is the first time we've ever used a Pixio panel, so I set my expectations pretty low considering they aren't even a brand that is typically available here in Australia. But for those outside of Australia, I thought this one was worth looking at since, as I mentioned in the intro, the price is below $200 US, and that might be the sweet spot for many people out there who are actually looking for a 24-inch solution. It may not be for everyone, but I'll come to that a little bit later in the video. The Pixio PX248 Prime Advanced features a 24-inch 16:9 IPS panel with a resolution of 1920 by 1080 with a peak brightness of around 400 nits. It also features a 144 Hz refresh rate. Now, there isn't heaps included with the panel either. You get a power brick, which is just like a regular 12-volt power brick, a DisplayPort cable, and some documentation. But the truth is, you don't really need more than that. It's a flat IPS display with a response time of 1 millisecond gray to gray. It features AMD's FreeSync premium adaptive sync technology, and although not NVIDIA G-Sync certified, it will work with G-Sync, and I did test this and it worked fine. The PX248 Prime Advanced also has a standard 100mm VESA mounting solution, so you shouldn't have any issues with mounting it to any type of monitor solution you've already got, which to be honest might be a good option considering there's no height adjustment on this panel. It does have some tilt adjustment though, so not all is lost. The PX248 Prime Advanced has an 1100:1 contrast ratio. It's got a single HDMI 1.4 port as well as an HDMI 2.0 port, a DisplayPort 1.2 port, and a USB port for firmware upgrading. There's also a headphone output on this as well. The PX248 Prime Advanced also has some speakers built into the panel, but I couldn't find the exact specs, but I'd say they were about 1 watt speakers, and I'm pretty sure that your phone sounds better than these speakers. But let's have a listen. The build quality of the panel itself is okay. The factory monitor stand, I could probably bend it with my hands, maybe, probably not. But yeah, it's better than the Samsung Odyssey G5 monitor stand that we checked out a little while ago in the top right-hand corner, if you wanna see that video wherever it is. But that's basically my reference for bad monitor stands. It's not a very gamery looking display either, which is either a good or a bad thing depending on who you ask. But yeah, I prefer panels that don't have as much gamery aesthetic. You know, less is more, you know. It's got a zero bezel design with a matte screen surface. The out-of-the-box calibration is okay for a gaming monitor. I would suggest punching in on the contrast a little as well because the white parts can blow out quite a bit. The panel was also quite bright for extended periods, so I did what I always do, and I dropped that monitor brightness down to 20% because it's more than adequate. And this is something I always do when I test because of this room here. It's quite a dark room when the lights aren't turned on, and if it is too bright, well, the panel at least, it's gonna strain your eyes. Yeah, it's actually quite a bright panel for its size, which kind of surprised me. The PX248 Prime Advanced has a little built-in nub style joystick behind the bottom chin of the screen for the menu system. It's really easy to use and everything's pretty easy to understand. It's not overly complicated and it does what it needs to do and nothing more. It's reminiscent of other monitor menu systems that you've probably seen already. So yeah, there is some familiarity right there out of the gate with this panel. It includes a couple surprise things as well, like a black equalizer, which traditionally makes it easier to see in darker in-game environments. There's some on-screen overlay info as well, like FPS counters and crosshairs. There's also a few overdrive settings too, and I use it on the lowest overdrive setting for the majority of my use with this monitor. Circling back to Adaptive Sync, it does feature AMD's FreeSync premium technology and should work with G-Sync as well, which is the way that I used it the whole time. It's not validated for it, but I didn't really encounter any issues with it when I tested it. For console players as well, you can use the panel with all of the major consoles that are out right now with either HDMI 1.4 or HDMI 2.0. You shouldn't have any issues with using this with a console. So yeah, you can even use things like the variable refresh rate modes on the Xbox as well. But since I don't have one, I can't test that it actually works. But because it's got FreeSync, it should actually come up as an option. For the meat and potatoes though, how is the PX248 Prime Advanced for gaming? Well, when you sit back and really look at how much you're paying for this panel, I'd say that for the price, it's actually pretty good. Now, it's never gonna be the best panel ever, but it is acceptable. If anything, the size is a whole lot less than what I'm used to gaming on, but once I played on it for a while, it's actually not too bad. I kind of get these flashbacks back to 2010 when I used to game on something like this, but yeah, it's been a while since I've used a monitor of this size. With that said, there's no noticeable ghosting, but there is a fair amount of backlight bleed on black screens focused around the top edges of the screen. It's not horrible, but if you're looking for it, you're probably going to see it. It's actually the first thing I noticed when I powered on this panel for the first time with no display cables attached. Again, this is a budget-focused IPS panel. There's bound to be a few things that aren't perfect. It comes with the territory, and by that I mean with cheap monitors in general. People really love to focus on things that don't impact the usability of a panel like this. I can see comments already with people disagreeing with me, but the truth is, this is a cheap panel for its feature set, and that's the reality. And the reason why I'm saying this is because this monitor is decently priced for what you're actually getting. You're getting a 1080p 144Hz display. It's not the experience that you're gonna get from a bad panel, but one that you'd get from a fairly good panel. You know why? Because this is a pretty decent panel for the price. Not only that though, as I've said in other videos about monitor sizes too, not everyone wants a bigger monitor. Sometimes people are constrained by the size of the desk and their setup. I know quite a few people that don't have room for big panels. So some people are looking for 24-inch panels because that's all they can fit on their desk. A lot of people don't understand because they're used to having that luxury of having all of the space in the world. So I think if you're looking at a 24-inch panel, this panel is one you should consider, since small solutions with specs like these are either far more expensive than this panel, or they flat out don't exist anymore. So yeah, and to be very honest, there's a few things that I disliked about the Pixio PX248 Prime Advanced. If I'm being super picky, that is. The backlight bleed was unexpected, but at the same time, I keep saying this, at this price point, it's hardly surprising that it's like that. The monitor adjustability is another one, but again, at this price point, it's just hardly surprising. One thing I will say though is, even though the stand looks like a boomerang and honestly it's pretty feeble looking, the stability of this panel is quite surprising. There is one thing that I found it really hard to do in this video though, right? I don't have anything to compare it to because, to be honest, I don't think we've ever covered a panel quite like this in terms of features and price. This is easily the most affordable panel that we've ever used, and I'm sure there's heaps of other comparisons out there like the Odyssey G3 from Samsung, the Tough Gaming VG259 QR, and even the older Pixio Prime PX248, but unfortunately, we don't have any of those panels for comparison. Overall, this panel isn't bad. It's priced below a few of the other competitors, well, two of them at least from the three that I mentioned before. So if you're interested in grabbing the 24-inch Pixio PX248 Prime Advanced, they're going for around $199 US at the time of filming this video. And if you're watching this video when this video comes out, it should be available at the end of the week. But if you're watching this video far into the future, it's already out and you have no idea what I'm talking about. But if you do happen to find this monitor cheaper, yeah, let us know in the comments, and let everyone know in the comments, because if there's a chance you could get this for even cheaper than it is now, I would say it'd be really good value. If you've got any questions about anything I just mentioned in this video, feel free to drop a comment down below. Let us know what you think about these 1080p 24-inch IPS 144 Hz panels. Yeah, I haven't used a monitor like this before, so it was actually quite interesting that there were so many features for the price that it is. Now, I'm gonna be honest, we've got another Pixio panel. It's another 24-inch panel, but it's a 280 Hertz panel. And we're gonna check that out probably sometime next week. I think that one's gonna be pretty interesting. Also, I just wanted to add that, and I do this with all of our monitor videos, we make this as easy to digest as possible in a easy to digest format for people who might not understand what everything means when it comes to monitors. It's highly based on what I think of the panel, and at the end of the day, it's your money. I leave those decisions in your hands. I just like to make this nice and simple for people to understand. Not everyone is an expert, and that's kind of what we're here for, to make it way easier for you guys to understand. Anyways, guys, if you liked this video, you know what to do. Like and subscribe, do all the things that the YouTubers tell you to do in all the videos. Once again, thank you so very much for watching. I'm your boy Nick with Gear Seekers. You peak, we seek. And honestly, $199 US. The features seem quite decent. It's not a terrible monitor. Obviously, it's nowhere near the best monitor, but for the price, it's a very, very compelling display. Thanks for watching.